everyone, this is Lynn and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. Today I am getting again outside of my comfort zone using Copic Markers. I don't know if you saw the video from last week, but there I shared a love themed card also using Copics on the background. Now doing that really inspired me to try it again, and while this stamp set is just adorable and I still need to feature quite a lot of their special scenes, so I decided to use one of the other scenes today and create a card with Copics. So I'm stamping out that image onto Transotype perfect coloring paper. This panel is an A2 sized panel. I die cut it using some basic rectangles dies, and then I also stamped this image on some masks. Now last week, I will compare it quite often I think with last week, I didn't make any masks. My background was really light, using some pinks and oranges, and so I just didn't find it necessary to do the masking. Now in this case I'm going to use quite some dark colors, so I decided that masks were needed. Now I don't expect from these masks to resist all of the Copics. In case I am going over it quite a while, I know that there will be some Copic markers going through the masks because it's just paper, and the moment that gets oversaturated and it's not made for Copics, it will leak, but no problem whatsoever. So as you saw, this masking paper is from Inkadinkado. It's stamping mask paper. It's the one that I have at home. There are many masks, or papers out there that do the job, so just check out your craft room. What I also use today is the rectangle Extraordinaire stencil from My Favorite Things. It's a basic stencil, but you don't need to have this one. If you don't have it, you can just use some masking tape, or you can draw with pencils the rectangle that you want to use, or you can use a rectangle die, cut it out of some cardstock, and then use that as a mask. There are many possibilities to help you with that. I just decided using this because, in a way, this also allows me to do a background with Copics without having to color the complete background with it, if you get what I mean. Normally on backgrounds I use distress inks. That's my favorite kind of ink to use, and I do some ink blending, and that's really handy, and I have no issue doing that throughout a whole A2 size panel. But with the Copics being still outside of my comfort, I am trying to sort of find ways to make background with them without obligating myself to do a complete background, you know? So that's what I did here by using a stencil and limiting the space that I need. Last week it was with a heart, which was even smaller than today, and so you can check what you might like to do or not. And then about this background. So since the stamp set is with the umbrella, I thought, well, maybe try to do that rainy background scene. And if you are like me, trying to figure out those Copics also for background because they can be spectacular, then I hope that this video might help you, because you truly see here my first attempt at that and how I had to sometimes change my initial ideas. So as you can see here, after my second blue, I realized that the blues that I took based on the color chart that I have, the hex chart from Sandy Elnock, my second blue was just too light for the transition between the two. And I'm just doing some streaks. So the idea behind this card, or how I started, was truly, as we all get inspired by so many other crafters, we see so many amazing cards, and there are so many people really talented using those Copic markers, and I look up to them. I truly do. And there are some incredible card makers in this design team as well, that I think, well, one day I will try that, and who knows. So since this year for me personally is all about getting more used to Copics and maybe try to do more of those backgrounds, I thought, well, just try it again. And what I found, and sorry for those tiny hairs, but I think you can still see the idea, but what I found, or what I thought, was that everyone was just drawing in lines. with a bit of logic, of course. So that's what I did. There are other crafters doing other videos where you can learn things. If you are interested in that, definitely follow. I didn't do that, and I hope to share the raw version of how I got to this background with you. So also, if you're afraid about this background, I completely get it. I am as well, and I'm still afraid after making this card. I still don't find that I'm at ease doing this, but I truly love how the card ended up. I can improve, of course, we can always improve. But well, I just hope to share this with you and that you think, okay, let's just take the same steps, let's try this out as well, and you never know if you are going to love creating like this. Now, I thought my background was sort of finished, but I didn't like the transition where I'm now doing the tip to tip with all of the markers that I have in this color combination. So I'm smoothing it out, trying to get a better sort of blend over there using the tip to tip method. Also in the middle, I decided to go with yellow. Why? Because yellow and blue, it works, because it gives green in the worst case. But I also wanted to have these images sort of being featured in sort of a light source kind of way. So that's why I did it like this. I removed the mask and I was really surprised, because there were some areas where I really went over it quite a lot, because I was doing some long flicks, if you might want to call it like that. But it resisted quite well. I don't think it will always, but it resisted quite well. And there where the mask didn't resist, I could always use my colorless blender, my best friend when Copic coloring, to fix that. Also in some areas, the markers that I was going to lay on top were going to be darker, so there I didn't worry too much about the leaking through, of course. Then I'm starting with the images. These images, I just love them. I love every scene in this stamp set. Every scene sort of has a way of representing a period in my relationship, my personal relationship. I remember when we were in the beginning meeting, it was in a park, we were always sitting on a bench. There is an image like that, and then we went for long walks because we still needed to get to know each other. We didn't want to do that at our parents' houses, so long walks with the rain, and then he was also a really gentleman, so he often put the umbrella on top of my head, above my head. So it was really nice. And then of course thinking about each other, there is one like that. Then just walking hand in hand. I just love this set. I think everyone should have this set in their craft room because it's just perfect. It's truly perfect. But yeah, I started with the skin tones, you know me probably, and I just try to start always with the things that I find the hardest, being skin tones and hair. I did the same here. I started with the skin tone and then I went on with the hair. And the most difficult part actually was the girl, because I just don't know how to do the curly thingies that she has. I love it. So I just went for it back and forth until I liked sort of what I created. Yeah, it's all about getting to know the images as well. So I did that. Just in case you're wondering about the Copic colors that I used and you didn't write them down, they are all listed on my blog post for each part of the image. That's really easy for you as a reference if you want to revisit those combinations. You can of course rewatch the video, and if that might help you doing the background, then I would love you to come back that moment that you want to try it out, because I hope that this video can help you. I hope that we can help each other in our adventure, getting to know some mediums. If you're on the same adventure as I am, and that's just lovely, because then we probably will be seeing each other quite often this year. So here I'm onto the umbrella. I have been doubting quite a long time which colors I was going to use for this image, because of course the background has a really outspoken color combination, having that blue and the yellow greenish color. But I still wanted the image to really stand out, so I went for really bright colors. This red is just popping against the blue, and then I went for yellows for the girl, which was my final decision on this card, and then blue for the boy, but like a really vibrant blue. And of course I made an error here. I colored the wrong sleeve, well, the wrong stripe on the sleeve blue, so I'm just fixing that with the colorless blender. Whenever you are getting rid of a color, or whenever, for example, the color is quite dark, it can be a struggle to get rid of it and get it white again. What I do is colorless blender, then immediately heats at it to dry that paper out again, and then go back with the colorless blender as much as I think is needed. Now, we all know that that certain band isn't, or that certain stripe isn't completely white. I know. But at the same time, all the other colors around it are really dark. So it didn't bother me that I couldn't get it completely white in the end, because it's still popping the way it is now. So onto the pants, just decided to go with sort of a jeans blue color, and going back and forth, of course, I go from darkest to lightest throughout my images. Why? Because it helps me the most. There are many ways of copy coloring, and they all work. You just need to find that way that is most comfortable for you, as well as gives that result that you really like. So that's really important. Give it some time to figure that out, because it can be a bit of a search. I searched quite a long time for that, but I'm really happy that I'm now doing darkest to lightest. I think one of the reasons I started doing that was also because my paper got oversaturated quite easily when I started with first a light coat and then having to ink blend on top of that as well. Now I'm using Transotype Perfect Coloring paper since a year and a half, and it really helps me, so I think that both ways would be an option here, but that might be a reason for you to decide the same way as I did. So also for the coloring of the hair and the eyes and stuff, I decided to look a bit at myself and my boyfriend. I don't have blonde hair, but I have brown hair with a bit of blonde, and then my boyfriend has darker hair, so that's why I got these colors. And then, well, the eyes, I sort of have a bit of everything in it, but when the sun is shining in my eyes, then I have sort of some greenish vibes in my eyes, and he is brown, so that's why I chose for this combination. And then it was time to go even more outside of my comfort zone. I know that a white jelly roll pen, or a white pen that you might have, any brand is good, can add so much more. It truly is. It's like those shiny things on the balloons with a white jelly roll pen. It's gorgeous. But I also find it really tricky and permanent in a way, and I'm always scared that I'm going to ruin my images as soon as I come in with the white jelly roll pen. Now in this case, I wanted to create that rain kind of vibe, and so I decided that I had to try it out. I wanted to have some splatters on the ground. In the beginning I also thought of giving it some grounding, the card, but then on the go I just decided to not do that. So we have that really subtle white splattering on the edge of the grounding here, and you guys will all know it, and there probably will be a lot of people that aren't really seeing that even, but I did add them. And then I also wanted to do something spectacular with the umbrella, but that was just really scary. I tried it, I started there, then I sort of tried to get rid of it, and then I had to continue. I had to try further. I based myself on sort of the splatters that I did on the bottom. I wanted to have it, well, I don't actually know what I'm doing here, but I like it in the end. But I must admit, once you start with it, you have to continue, because otherwise it will be rubbish. And I definitely think you could add way more if you want to. I just wanted a bit of rain drops splattering from on top of the umbrella, and I'm sure that I saw this somewhere on someone's Instagram, and so I wanted to figure it out myself. So that's what I base myself on. But then I wanted to add the white jelly roll pen, and I couldn't find the inspiration that I had in my head by someone, and that was really annoying. I also searched on YouTube, but I couldn't find the video that I was looking for or the help that I was looking for. So in case you're like me and at a certain point looking at videos to find how to add a white jelly roll pen, this one isn't perfect, but it's already a way of adding it. So it might help you. Might not today, because it might be just a bit too scary, but it might in the future. And then I hope that you will let me know, because I hope truly that on my adventure I can help you maybe with your own adventure of getting outside of the comfort zone. So initially when I thought of making this card, my intention was to white heat emboss the sentiment on top in the dark area. Now, since I didn't add the grounding, I just thought that the sentiment was just perfectly going to be there and just finish that rectangle in a way. So that's what I did, adding the sentiment just black on the bottom of the card. When I think about it, I think it's funny. I just sort of have a really wide idea in my head, and then when I look back while editing and doing voiceovers, I'm always like, well, originally that wasn't going to be there. I don't know if you guys have the same, that you're sort of trying to get that idea on paper and then realizing that you are completely changing it for the better. But, well, it's always funny. So this is my card. I'm not adding anything more. I think it shines on its own. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that I can encourage you to step outside of the comfort zone. If this card inspires you, definitely let us know on Instagram, Facebook. It's always such a nice thing to see that others are inspired or are doing something similar. So thank you so much for stopping by and taking the time. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you like the end result, and I'll be back soon. Bye!